Hey, it's PVSP from the CPG Guys. It should come as no surprise that we think podcasting is an ideal format to learn while being entertained, which is why we love to recommend other podcasts to help fill your rotation. And there's a brand new podcast in the commerce space that comes with a distinct female perspective. She-Commerce promotes bold brands, fierce women, and one sisterhood that empowers women in business one conversation at a time. She-Commerce is more than just a podcast. It's a community hosted by Christina and Jax, two seasoned CPG leaders with almost 50 years of combined international experience. She-Commerce drives deep into the heart of the CPG revolution, tackling the issues that matter most to women in the industry. They're committed to providing real talk, real solutions, and a whole lot of heart. From decoding the latest retail media strategies and accelerating omni-commerce growth, to navigating work-life imbalance, shattering stereotypes, and fighting for wage equality. Nothing is off limits. Check out She-Commerce via the link in the digital show notes of this CPG Guys episode and wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hi, I'm Mike Westgate, Vertical Director of Food and Beverage Advertising Solutions at TikTok, and you are listening to the CPG Guys.
Welcome to the CPG Guys podcast. Your hosts, Shri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage consumers in an increasingly digitally driven world. And now, here are the CPG Guys.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the CPG Guys. I'm of course Shri, your co-host, and also CRO and co-founder of Think Blue Consulting, your trusted partner in your omni-channel development journey. Get in touch with me at Shri at thinkblueconsulting.co. That's C-O, not C-O-M. Please do listen to my older daughter's music at www.riaraj.com, who was on tour December 2nd, 5 cities. Follow Laura Raj, my younger daughter, is a member of the world's fastest growing global girls group Cat's Eye, winner of the MTV VMA this year, nominated for 2 Grammys. She just left home an hour ago. At this point, they have a 10-plus city tour themselves, November 15th through December the 16th. So can't wait to join both the daughters on tour and hit up. Kavita and I are going to actually 14 cities in the next month, starting mid-November. But I'm joined today by my co-host and co-founder, PVSP, Mr. Bond, who also moonlights as head of industry and client engagement at Flywheel, the commerce acceleration division of Omnicom. Peter, we just got back from all the way from Nashville. How you doing?
I got home around 11 o'clock. It wasn't too late, Shri, but I know you're getting ready for that big tour, but I know that I've got you covered in Boston. I'm going to take Nadia up. We're going to go see the Cat's Eye concert in Boston next week. So can't wait to see it all happen in person. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Looking forward, man. I hope both you and Nadia can enjoy the trip up to Boston. So make sure, of course, folks, you're subscribing to our podcast on your preferred listening platform where you can get our latest episodes and go back to consume some of the 500 plus episodes we've already published. Today's episode is all about social digital creators and a platform that is short-change attention as well as entertainment. Much more than that, by the way. To discuss that very topic, we've invited Mike Westgate, Vertical Director of Food and Beverage at TikTok Global Business Solutions. This is the second appearance for TikTok on the CPG Guys. Earlier this year, we had Ajay Salpekar from TikTok Shop. Today, we would like to jump into a vertical that's closer to our backgrounds in the industry and that of the CPG Guys, of course, the food and beverage vertical. So let's welcome Mike. Mike, welcome to the CPG Guys. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and thank you so much for having me. Peter, it's great to meet you. Shri, we've actually met before. Couple overlaps here. We're both GMI alums, so yay General Mills. And I'm pretty sure we got together at Shop Talk a couple years ago. We were just launching TikTok Shop. And you mentioned Ajay. I was just texting with my good buddy, Ajay Salpekar. He and I were in the trenches together a couple of years ago and good friends to this date. His podcast was awesome with you guys. So really looking forward to this and honored to be here.
He actually sat 4 feet from me right here in his office, right here in this podcast studio, and we recorded the episode together. So that was the first one I did in my new studio. So we're, of course, excited to have you on the CPG Guys. We'll include in the digital show notes of this episode links to your LinkedIn profile, that of TikTok's, and we'll jump right into what we've been waiting to actually ask you, Mike. So I'll kick it off first. So you've talked about TikTok leading a new era of discovery commerce. Can you unpack what that means, how it's shifting traditional consumer journeys, especially as we think of food and beverage?
Yeah, happy to, and really excited to give you guys a few examples of what we're seeing on the platform, because it really is evolving quickly. But one thing, and I know Ajay talked about this as well, but dispel this, kind of common myth that TikTok is social. It's actually an entertainment platform. That's how we view ourselves. And that's why people come to TikTok. They come to be entertained, they come to discover. And part of that discovery sometimes leads to shopping, either on the platform, on a .com, or even in brick and mortar retail. But that's kind of the core of what we are and who we are. 170 million monthly active users in the US now. They're more active than ever. Video posts jumped 34% since January. Video views are up 16%. And 81% of people say that they come to the platform to learn something new. And then 61% actually purchase something they saw on TikTok. So we've kind of seen these signals emerging for years. The users are saying, like, they're responding through their actions and through their words and comments and shares that they like to see new products or new uses for products. Creators are saying, hey, we want new monetization opportunities. And brands are saying, we want new ways to connect with this audience. So it's this, perfect storm of commerce on platform and off. And we believe we're creating a great halo effect for retail.
Mike, welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you on board. Nothing's hotter than TikTok Shop right now and where TikTok is going with its platform. So it's very relevant. So when I think about shopping, historically, shopping has generally started with intent. Now it seems to be beginning with inspiration. How should consumer packaged goods marketers rethink their strategies in this new discovery first model of shopping?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think it kind of goes back to the first answer, where if we are an entertainment platform where people come to escape, to be informed, to be educated, to discover, and creative briefs aren't necessarily written in a vacuum. And creators really become the first customer for a brand. So putting creators at the center of the message, of the go-to-market, of the inspiration, and the narrative is really where CPGs can win, because those creators have built audiences and often based on authenticity and credibility with their audiences, their communities, and they know the best way to express that brand value to them.
But Mike, how does that match process actually happen? This creator is ideal for this CPG brand. How does that process happen?
It's a great question. We have several tools that we can do matchmaking. So within TikTok One, it's our full creative suite. You can do creator searches based upon your category, based upon performance, based upon videos that you like, based upon audience match. It can be done offline, which often it does. It can be done through partners and creative agencies. And we actually have a new tool I'd love to chat with you guys about. We call it Content Suite. It's within TikTok One, but it's essentially like a lightning in a bottle ability to see what's trending about your brand, what's trending in your category. And these are just general user videos. It could be based upon a monetized creator or just a user like you or I. And a brand can see that immediately with the click of a button, ask for the rights to use it as an advertisement, and then ride that wave of virality. So that's another way we're trying to bring creators and moments and viral opportunities closer to brands.
What's more common, a brand to walk in with a choice of who they want to partner with as a digital creator, or coming to you guys and asking for advice on who that should be?
I think it's a good mix. There's really no one silver bullet or path. There is 170 monthly active users, 170 million, sorry. That means a very diverse set of interests, ways of communicating, creative styles and consumption patterns. So bringing creators offline or ambassadors can actually be a great path because they understand your brand. You've worked with them in the past, but discovering new creators can add to that diverse mix and help you reach new people.
So now that we've found our creator for our brand, how does TikTok help brands bridge that gap between the entertainment piece, which you've just mentioned, and the transactability, which is much more lower funnel from a fun scroll, entertaining scroll, learn, to an actual purchase?
Yeah, there's several paths to purchase. We certainly specialize in upper funnel, massive reach you can't find on other platforms. So general branding performs very well. We do have a lot of ad tools and types that allow it to drive traffic to websites and apps, to lead gen forms. But with the advent of TikTok Shop, you can actually transact on the platform as well. So if you see a creator post or an affiliate post or even a brand post that has a little orange box at the bottom, that's a link into a product detail page that you could either add to cart or buy now on TikTok Shop. But that is also intended to reduce the friction of clicks off-site and keep people in that moment of inspiration and entertainment that they came to TikTok for.
And then, Mike, when it comes to some of these largest enterprise brands, you and I have worked for one in the past, but how often do you see these brands leveraging TikTok Shop? Is it like once a year, twice a year, very purposeful, single occasion? Are they frequent, back and forth? Is it and especially food and bev?
Yeah, there's. I think you need to think of TikTok as a living, breathing, always-on thing. But brands that have succeeded, especially in the enterprise space, have matched up their product launch or promotional calendar with drops on TikTok. And some have really, really succeeded by creating exclusive periods. So back to what I said earlier, that the creator is the first customer, your affiliate network or your second sales force, you've got to win them over. And giving them something exclusive, it could be a promotion, it could be an exclusive period, something first to retail, gets them excited about the product to present that then to their audiences. A great example is Skittles Popped. So Mars launched Skittles, seeing this viral trend of freeze-dried candy on the platform. Not sure if you guys kids eat this. My kids love it. But Mars saw this and they said, well, we need to launch our own version. We're going to take this to retail, but what if we create a big splash on TikTok first? So they hand-selected 7 top creators, had a fixed amount in a 10-day exclusive period, sold it out in 48 hours. But the story didn't end there. They then took that back to retail to drive more facings, ACV, quality merchandising. It was a really great kind of full circle retail moment for them. And now they're looking at other ways. How can we do seasonal launches to meet these growing trends on the platform?
Yeah, that was a great story. Flywheel was behind the scenes in helping Mars on that particular Skittles project. And we were very excited to be involved in that. So food and beverage really has exploded on TikTok, Mike, from viral recipes to emerging brands, even big established brands. One of my favorites that Sri and I talk about is what Coca-Cola did in connecting Coke with Core Power, and it spurred on a whole new product which people call Coke Protein, right? And what's happening in physical retail now. They didn't even need to innovate a product. They just needed to co-merchandise products in physical proximity to drive sales. And it was all inspired by videos that people were putting out on TikTok. So my question is, what's fueling all this momentum?
Well, back to what I said at the outset is that we're an entertainment platform. People come here to be entertained and to be inspired. So if you know that and you lean into the aspects of being multisensory, sound on an educational or discovery moment, what fits perfectly with that is cooking and recipes and new food flavors and so forth. So it's just a perfect match. And then you see the more that brands lean in, the more the creators get inspired and interested, and it creates this great, sorry to, pun intended, but creates a flywheel for the consumers as well. You mentioned brand collabs too, and this is kind of something that happened outside the category a little bit, but still essentially was within consumer goods. A couple of years back, Tarte and Beach Waver teamed up. They found that they were competing for the same creators over and over again, and they said, well, why don't we just box our products together in a multi-pack, take a bunch of creators to Bora Bora and have them film products or have them film short videos and do live shopping events. And that was yet another sellout moment of matching two brands that might not have thought about it otherwise, but through the creators having an affinity for both, it put these two brands side by side. I thought this was a super cool story.
You gave us the example of the Bora Bora one now and then Skittles. Are there any other big examples that come to mind, or maybe two, of how leading food and beverage brands are using the platform to stay culturally relevant and actually drive measurable business results?
Yeah. Well, there's one recently. I'm sure you guys know Todd Kaplan with Kraft Heinz. He's a master at culture bombs, as he calls them. And Kraft saw this emerging trend of ordering fries with salads to make salads feel a little more addressable and less boring. And it was a hashtag salad talk that kind of like drove this viral moment and this inspiration for them to create croutons. So tater tots that you put on your salad so you can kind of solve both cravings. And it was limited time through, I believe, through DoorDash or Instacart. But that was a way for them to penetrate a new audience, to ride a viral wave of something that's happening on the platform, and then create a commercial opportunity out of it as well.
Let me remind our audience that we're speaking with Mike Westgate from TikTok.
So, Mike, how are challenger brands, right? The smaller niche players, the ones that don't necessarily have the distribution, the volume, how are they using TikTok differently that lets them, for lack of a better term, punch above their weight? What's going on that your platform gives them the power to actually outperform the challenges that they would otherwise meet in traditional physical retail?
That's a great question. I think probably if there's a common thread, a few that come to mind: Bloom, Goalie, Ladder Fitness, Kin Euphorics. They've all leaned in heavily with creator and affiliate networks and kind of using that as their go-to-market muscle and their second sales force. So they've used our affiliate creator marketplace to do the matchmaking we discussed before. They are provide a bit more latitude with their creative briefs to let the creators do what they do best. Leaning in heavily to our content production tools like our Symphony AI capabilities that can allow for different versioning, remixing, using avatars, language translation, taking professionally generated content, running it through the tools, and having several different versions that are TikTok friendly and TikTok first format. So I would say, kind of leveraging the tools on the platform, working through those that have the voice of authority, and then being a bit diverse and creative with their go-to-market messaging has helped them keep up with the high demand for content quantity and quality.
Can you double click down on the Symphony AI partnership and what that really brings to the equation?
So Symphony is a video production suite. It has several capabilities, all based in AI, where you could take something as simple as a product catalog that you might upload to Instacart of just product shots and use the tool to take image to video. And it creates really, really immersive, beautifully transitioned TikTok-friendly videos out of still imagery, places them on backgrounds, uses effects, and so forth. That's just one example. Another is text to video. So typing in text and having a Spanish language translation for your videos. And then once again, using avatars or other effects to layer on existing videos. So those are just a few of the capabilities that are native to this Symphony tool that we have on our platform.
Hey, before I jump into other areas, one of the things that comes through my mind, I asked you about examples of leading food and beverage brands using TikTok to stay culturally relevant, but I also mentioned it to drive measurable business results. Could you talk to us about the measurement aspects? Like, what are brands seeking from you in terms of measurement? And then what do you offer up for brands to be able to measure their ROI on the investments they make with TikTok or on TikTok?
Great question. We offer several different tools for first-party measurement. We have third-party partnerships with InMarket and Nielsen. Most of our brands, especially in the CPG space, are looking for brand lift. We perform very well for campaigns looking at general recall and intent. We actually have a budding, emerging, and growing suite of measurement tools for sales lift and conversion lift as well. What I had mentioned, InMarket actually helps measure retail lift at the SKU level for 20,000 stores. So we want to make sure that we can meet the advertisers and client partners where they are, make sure we match up their campaign opportunities and the ad tools and measurement for their KPIs and objectives to make sure that they're hitting ROI or ROAS targets.
Then typically, Mike, today's economic environment, it's all about units, moving volume. How are brands approaching that subject with you? Is it at the end of the day, the ROI, the CPM days are like very advertising focused, but today's needs is units. Is that why it's like lift and measuring that versus cost of acquisition and the cost per mile and things of that nature? Are you seeing a difference? So are you working primarily with the brand folks, the agency, classic old school advertising, or is this moved much more lower funnel now for ROI?
I would say the innovation on the platform to offer more performance advertising tools for conversion, for traffic, for app download, for add to cart has grown within our suite of tools, as has the measurement. So the demand on the marketer now and the agency is to drive better attribution. And we need to meet those needs through measurement partners, through first-party measurement, and make sure that we can track that die marker all the way through the ecosystem for them. But I will say brand lift has not gone away. There's still a tremendous amount of value and awareness in making sure that that product is top of mind, whether you want to buy it today on TikTok or when you see it on the end of the aisle when you're walking through the grocery store.
And I have to imagine that one of the measurements that the brands are just so absolutely focused on is new to brand, right? And they see your mechanism as introducing products to consumers who've never tried it. It is a huge trial driver. And in this day, as Sri said, volume challenged brands, anything they can do to bring someone new into the brand portfolio is pure gold to a brand marketer.
Completely. And that is one of the measurement capabilities, specifically with Nielsen, and what we offer there is new to the brand, converting new customers, especially in these major flights that they'll do, either seasonal periods, promotional periods, and new product drops.
So we got about 6-7 weeks left in the year, the holiday season, and before you blink, it's 2026. So you're both a entertainment destination, a cultural hub, a shopping destination. And how do you see this shaping advertiser needs, brand needs, and food and beverage and consumer behavior as we especially go 3 months out, the next 12 months kind of?
Yeah, it's a great question. And the way I like to describe it, to oversimplify, is to call it surround sound. So if brand is not thinking about TikTok in a silo from retail media networks, in a silo from other social platforms, and in a silo from TV, TikTok really is an accelerant for a lot of those. So going with a TikTok first strategy, matching up with the pre-existing moments that they already invest in. Likely most of these brands that you and I know so well have mapped out 2026 already. They know what they're doing in Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. It's not just Super Bowl planning anymore. So we're investing heavily in those moments that matter most to our users and to the brands, and creating franchise opportunities with creators, with live events, with music, with award shows, with sports, and making sure that we can help them get the most out of those investments they're making in the market. So it really has helped elongate the planning cycle and drive more strategic discussions on how they want to use TikTok to reach new audiences and drive sales at the end of the day.
Mike, TikTok's not so secret as ingredient as its creators, right? They are an essential for the platform's ecosystem. How do you see their role evolving as commerce becomes more embedded in content?
I think it's a great question. And maybe a legacy perception is that creators are just, pay to play or just, talent for hire. Creators can be a strategic advisor to your brand because once again, they know the audience potentially better than you do. So how can you find those trusted voices of authority, those that matter most to the audience you have or the one that you want, and bring them in for briefing periods, bring them in for product innovation discussions, maybe even let them lead a line or a new SKU or a flavor profile. That I think is the role of the creator, is becoming, best way to put it, I guess, strategic advisor or a brand steward and sponsor to help define what the product roadmap might look like. And I also think that the definition of creator, as I shared with you about this content suite tool that we were offering, it's expanding the definition now. So any user can be a creator. Are you guys creators?
I think we are. I think we qualify as creators at this point.
I think so.
We're fashion trendsetters. We know that much, but I think we are creators. Yes.
I finally have 140,000 followers on TikTok, so I'm definitely creating every day.
Creator. Okay, great. So I'm stopping short of my creative pursuits of doing the Gabriella dance, but my daughters are doing it. They were doing it this morning. So, yeah.
The Westgate family is a creator. That's what counts.
Exactly. Harper and Ava were like, "Oh, you got to tell him. We did the dance at the homecoming." So it's very cool to see. And actually that becomes kind of a cool unifying moment and tool for us, is to find the trends that make sense to them. I drive them crazy when I'm taking the kids to soccer and I do 6-7. But back to the initial point, we're all creators brands could find us. Brands could find anyone that has a particular passion or a way of presenting their value proposition that they may not have thought through in the boardroom. So giving access and that matchmaking capability to brands to find the users that can help them reach new audiences is, I think we'll just continue to expand on that.
Yeah, I think that brands can use creators as a reality check on how they're positioning their brands in particular. Because, I think 10 or 15 years ago, I was talking with the CMO of a very well-known beverage brand, and she was grousing about all of this content that was starting to emerge on other platforms and how they needed to start, playing whack-a-mole to get it under control. And I thought that was just, no, you don't want to control it. You want to harness and understand so that you can learn how your product is appreciated by consumers and build upon that. Trying to tell someone that they're not getting your brand message because they're not saying exactly what you want, oftentimes is that, one, an effort in futility, and two, you're missing a huge opportunity to grow your business, wouldn't you say?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I think that's where you do see a separation of the brands that are a little less sacred about how they're going to market on TikTok and saying, you know what, we've written half the brief, but the other half needs to be written by the community or the creators. And they'll find new ways of expression. They'll find new recipe ideas. They'll find new use cases. And it's a really cool, illuminating moment when you see it happen. But I think you're hitting on something, is that you kind of need to go in with arms wide open and embrace this new consumption and entertainment style that the next generation of customers is showing you how to play, basically.
Mike, you mentioned the creative brief, and I think that's a really great area I just want to dig down a little deeper on. Best in class. How does the creator come in? At what point does the creator come in to the creative brief? Is it halfway through when you've kind of, par baked the bread, for a metaphor, but at what point do the creators start to really add value to the overall brief?
I think there's no silver bullet golden rule here, but I would say if you're getting more than half to 75% of your brief done without the creative input, that might be a mistake. Or should we think about creative briefs in different versions to match the target audiences that we want to reach? And then invite those, once again, the creators, or the voice of authority, those with authenticity specific to that market, help you write the rest. So I think the earlier, the better is the moral of the story.
So Mike, we kind of said brands should take advantage of creators' knowledge of the ecosystem and what the audience is really looking for. Peter and I could not agree more with you, but do you see that happening in real life? Are brand VPs and brand leaders, or even agencies for that matter, who do most of the creative on behalf of the brands, are they reaching out to creators to understand what they should focus their campaign on TikTok on?
I think you see a mix. A year ago, I would say seldomly, but I think you're seeing a mix now. Inviting creators in earlier, once again, in product roadmap discussions and early campaign planning, concepting. McDonald's, Poppy, Wingstop, they're all doing this. They're working with these creators to even as like almost in-home, in-kitchen chefs, to help them figure out what would this campaign look like. And they're also not just stopping with creators, but those brands, those that I mentioned, are leaning into the comments section as their new focus group. So comments are now equaling commerce. Like an example is the seasonal cran fizz flavor for Poppy. The comments section was flooded with demand to make it an evergreen product, so they kept it on the shelves. McDonald's brought back the snack wrap based upon TikTok comment demand. Jimmy John's, they didn't just bring back the Kickin' Ranch. They brought it back with a song to make it like a TikTok unveiling moment, which was super cool. So I think there's ways for brands to think about how do I use creators to inform my roadmap and my go-to-market strategy, but how am I using real-time feedback from the audience as well? The community is telling me what they like and what they don't like.
Mike, how's TikTok enabling brands to maybe through large language models to understand that sentiment that's coming? You said live in the comment section. How are they able to do that at scale and really uncover those little nuggets of value that can help them innovate, extend, whatever?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, perfect cue. We are rolling into market a new insight suite. We call it TikTok Market Scope, which measures not only how are you performing at different levels in the funnel versus benchmark or competitors, but what is the sentiment within each of those stages about your brand, about your product, about your category? What are the keywords and searches happening around your brand to inform your keyword strategy? And then where should you invest more to move those target audiences through the funnel faster with consideration ad targeting and so forth? So we continue to expand our tools that are both on platform and off to make sure that we are informing brand, helping them keep up with the speed of culture, helping them find creators and helping them find new audiences to reach.
All the examples you gave there, whether it was Wingstop, they're all retailers of some format, McDonald's, because they reach the audience, reach the lower funnel directly. My concern always on talent, whether the talent exists to understand this entertainment platform, the social platform, the new digital creator has been with the larger brands, the large market cap brands, who largely rely on retailers for their distribution, and whether they are taking advantage of such platforms. So are there large brands that get the plot, are truly engaging with creators and doing things on a routine basis?
Yeah, Liquid IV is a great example. So they launched their sugar-free hydration multiplier on TikTok as an exclusive period, very similar to what we saw with Mars. And then they used our TikTok shop ads, our GMV Max, which does automatic and optimization around placement and targeting and creative selection. And they saw 71% boosted total performance, 71% by using these automated tools and launching exclusively on TikTok, and then 10,000 orders across their other platform. So they saw a tremendous halo effect by going to market with a kind of pre-planned, pre-packaged product, but creating that sense of exclusivity for the creators and the audience.
And so, based on what I just said to you, what are some of the biggest misconceptions you still hear from brands about TikTok? And then let's flip that and say, what's your advice back in return for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. The first misconception, I think, that hopefully we'll squash this one in 2026, but it's just for kids. It's a kids dancing app, right? Our largest demographic and is the fastest growing is
Papa Raj has 140,000 followers.
There you go.
I don't know. I'm not a kid. Am I a kid, Peter? What do you think?
You're a kid at heart, Shri.
Age is a state of mind, right? 45 plus is our largest and fastest growing demo on the platform, 21% year over year. So that's to think that we're just trying to reach kids to buy products. That's a complete misconception now. 170 monthly active users. The second is that you got to wait it out and see. There is no time but the present to get started. There are still early mover advantages for brands, and some are afraid to fail. TikTok is a very, very dynamic and forgiving platform. A good story is Sweet Lauren's TikTok username mishap. Did you guys hear about this Sweet Lauren's brand? One of the social media members went in and accidentally changed the handle name to her name, Ryan. And you can't change it back for 7 days. So they used it as like awareness gold, and they created kind of like a little fun play out of it, and very like humble about how they went back in the market to admit the mistake. They increased their followers 30%. They got 2.5 million impressions on TikTok during that 7-day window when they couldn't change it back. They got another 1 million impressions on LinkedIn announcing that they made the mistake. And then they increased their website sales 46%. So talk about turning, a potential mishap into gold. That's a perfect example. Like, just lean into it. And then, as I mentioned,
Shri, what are we changing our name to? That's all I want to know. We got to figure out what we're changing the CPG Guys name to. I love it.
Yeah. Can you replicate this? The creators.
Absolutely. Okay. So as we close out our conversation, Mike, if you had to summarize the future of commerce in one phrase or a prediction, what's your perspective on that?
I would call it surround sound, because it's not a one-dimensional go-to-market strategy. It's not a one-channel strategy. It's not a one advertising channel strategy. It is thinking, how do I surround the user where they are with messaging, product, inspiration, and ideas about how to engage with me as a brand? And then how do I turn online behavior into offline demand? So not just, once again, thinking through, I'm going to sell this on TikTok Shop, but if I'm going to launch a product, maybe we tease it out through creators on TikTok and use those proof points to go back to our retail partners to drive better merchandising, more promotional features, and so forth. So I think you got to be thinking with an omni-channel strategy when you're thinking about the future of commerce on TikTok.
How cool, how awesome. I was hoping, Peter, when you asked him for a prediction in one phrase, you'd say the CPG guys, but I think you and I have to work harder. We need another 460 episodes to hit 1,000, Peter. That's what we got to work on. But thank you.
Shreya, I'm only at like 300 followers on TikTok. You need to throw some of yours my way. Come on, Papa Raj, come. I think that's what I'm gonna be.
Just change your name.
I think Mike gave the secret away today. Just be a digital creator, man.
Cheat codes. Change your name.
I know. All I know is that the name's gonna have the word Raj in it. That's all I know.
There you go. That may be one way, but fun conversation today and educative conversation today. Let me thank audience for listening to this episode. Leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, your favorite listening platform. Feel free to post about it on TikTok. It informs us how we're doing, as well as if we're having the right conversations with the right people. To all of you, thank you from Peter and me. You make the show happen. To all our sponsors, whether this episode or parties, events, hosted dinners, having us at panels. Thank you. Peter, always fun doing this with you. Give me the big takeaway from this episode for you.
TikTok isn't just about a vanity play for brands. It actually can drive volume at retail, and TikTok has built the measurement mechanisms to prove that out. So brands need to be getting involved, but don't be scared of it. Don't be afraid. Get in there, test it, figure out what works. It is very forgiving. If you don't get it right the first time, that doesn't mean you're not going to get it right the second or the third time. But it really is about driving actual volume. And I got to tell you, Shri, and I've talked about this a lot in 2025, brands are desperate for volume in physical retail, and TikTok can be a way to help them build new households, grow their market, and ultimately address their key volume pains right now.
You know, you've covered the platform and volume, so I'm going to go a little bit deeper into what Mike said about creators themselves. Take advantage of the social cred, the street cred, as well as the knowledge creators have of their audience and what today's consumer is actively spending time on and staying engaged. Use that as one of your several inputs to actually build your campaign, especially if you've decided to use a creator. Always take their advice on how to build the campaign as opposed to force-fitting a brand way of doing something built for the 1980s, a process built for the 1980s. You know, I feel pretty strongly about that. Largest brands in the world were built for the 1980s theory of, you know, hitting middle America and getting great reach. But now it's not a question of growth, it's a question of survival. Be with today's times. Mike, thank you for joining us this afternoon to record this episode of the CPG Guys.
I enjoyed it. Thanks so much for having me, guys.
That's a wrap of this episode of the CPG Guys.
The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.